How to be a fun mom and keep your cool when you want to lose your shit. We got this. Okay, so I am absolutely loving all of your questions coming in on Instagram. It makes my day. So head on over to Instagram and check me out at Mom is in Control. So my little handle at Mom is in Control. Send me a direct message. Let me know, what topic do you want me to talk about on the podcast? So I got two questions, which I kind of felt were in alignment. How can I best keep my cool when I want to lose my shit? And how to be a fun mom. How can I be a fun mom, Heather? I was a super fun aunt when I didn't have kids, and the stress of the daily housewife, stay-at-home mom seems to suck the fun out of me. I need life in me again. I've become a robot. Great question. So yesterday I talked about the holidays, right? And how we're spending time with our kids and we're triggered, and it just shows us our wounds. And it's like, oh my God, that one is like really pussy and gross. And I think it's infected. I might have to chop my leg off. The reason why I'm saying this is because I will preach this every day and say it until you get it through your head. Parenting is personal growth on steroids. What you resist in your life to look at will persist and get bigger. It's going to, like a little itch that you did not look at that got started becoming a rash, and then you just kept avoiding it, and then all of a sudden it's like this bacterial infection, and then it's like a flesh-eating disease, and all of a sudden you have this big gaping hole, and you're like, where did this come from? Why did this happen? It just popped up out of nowhere. I have no idea. But if you look back, you see, oh yeah, I was itchy. Oh yeah, and I remember, and then I avoided the itch, and then it got red, and I avoided the redness. The redness didn't go away, and then the rash. You get my drift, right? What I'm saying is what you resist will persist and grow bigger. So what you resist in your life, and I'm talking let's talk about childhood crap, right? If you resist implementing something in your life, whether it's your childhood, your teens, your 20s, your 30s, you become a parent, all of a sudden, everything that you avoided working on yourself for is going to bubble up to the surface. The beauty of motherhood and parenting and marriage and business and everything else. Personal development is essential. Everybody wants the strategies. Heather, tell me how to make $1 million in my business. Tell me how to manage my time. Tell me how to get my husband on board with XYZ. Tell me how to get my children to listen to me. It's all about you. And yes, there are ways that we can communicate with other people, but I'm telling you right now, we can't manipulate and control the outside forces around us to feel better inside. We have to eventually look at ourselves. So when you get tired enough and you surrender and say, okay, Heather, finally, please teach me this. Then, shameless plug, you will go to momisincontrol.com, fill out the application, and we will have this conversation. You can, and I 100% believe in this, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can. I don't believe in this, you can have it all. I mean, that whole movement has driven me nuts. But you can feel emotionally content in your parenting, like you're not fucking up your children, and feel content, alive, successful, ambitious in your career, your work, and your marriage, if it's going to work. But my point is, this isn't like an all or nothing thing. And yes, sometimes relationships fall away, and sometimes, you have to have really hard conversations with yourself. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in the lives of my clients. You have to surrender and ask for help and do the work. And I'm telling you, you can't always see the shit yourself. You need an outsider. This year in 2019, I had big goals. I had big desires that I've been sitting on for a really long time. I'm like, okay, now's the time I'm going to act on it. Well, the second I decided to do that, I had to keep surrendering and I had to ask for help. I'm struggling here. I'm challenged here. Who can help me? And I kept asking for help. And the feedback I received from these people were like, I am so grateful to help you, Heather. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And every day I have to ask myself, am I truly asking for help or am I causing my own suffering? And it's very easy to slip back in to being the martyr and causing your own suffering. Very easy. I teach this stuff and I still have to practice it on a daily basis. This is a practice. So how do you best keep your cool when you're about to lose your shit? Well, I've talked about this before, the red, green, and yellow zones. If you are living in your red zone, this is when the life is sucked out of you. The joy is sucked out of you. You are living in constant survival mode. You will react from survival mode. If you are, let's just say you never feed yourself, literally, like food, you're going to be in survival mode. Your body and your brain are going to go into fight or flight response, and they're going to go, food, crust, like, oh, a few sips and the end of a bowl. You're going to constantly be feeding for that, like, please give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Your body is in fight or flight response. So I still lose my cool. I lose my shit sometimes, but I can feel it coming. And like, for me to get in my red zone now is very far and few between. Like, I actually took a little tally. So I spent almost like a month with my kids. We were on vacation and holidays and all of that. I think I legit was raging, like, oh my God, I can't handle this. Why did I have children? Like, this is awful. Once. And it probably lasted for about that immediate reaction. And then I turned it around and I didn't carry that for the rest of the day. Now, old Heather, I would have carried that for a week and I would have had so much shame and guilt and worry and overwhelm and it would have been awful. You know how that feels. And then you go down this deep, dark rabbit hole. So my point is, I don't live in my red zone anymore, at all. I'm 90% in my green zone, feeling great, implementing the tools, creating momentum in my life, feeling like I'm thriving. When I get into this yellow zone, I'm like, okay, Heather, you need to rest. You need to restore. When my kids are in the yellow zone, rest, restore, implement the strategies, practice what I preach, all of that stuff. So I always tell people preventative measures, right? You need to stop. You need to figure out why you're in constant survival mode in your life, and you need to deal with that and cope with that first. In the moment, if you're about to lose your shit, because this is a tip, everyone wants tips and strategies, lose your shit, okay? Lose it, do what you need to do, bite your tongue, walk away. I can tell you that, and you're going to say to me, but Heather, I can't walk away. I understand, because your brain wants to fight because you're living in survival mode. But let's just say you do lose your shit. The one thing I'm going to tell you, and if you don't get anything out of this podcast, this is what I want you to walk away with. You lose your shit, this is the one thing I want you to do. I want you to own your behavior, even if your child was a little asshole. I want you to own your behavior, even if they said the worst thing to you in the entire world, or if it's a toddler and they didn't say anything to you, but they were just so embarrassing. Apologize for your behavior. You walk up to your 2-year-old, you walk up to your baby, you walk up to your 18-year-old and say, the way that I acted at the dinner table tonight, I just wanted to tell you I love you and I am so sorry for the way that I acted. And then you shut your mouth and you walk away. You give them a hug if they want a hug. If they don't, because they're pissed at you, you just walk away. You do not expect an apology from your child. Do not ask your child to apologize. You take radical responsibility for your behavior and how you showed up in the world. Why? Because that is the role model that your child needs. That's my tip. That's my strategy. Apologize for your behavior. Now, the second question, how do you become a fun mom? How do I be a fun mom? I was a super fun aunt. Then I had my kids, and the stress of the daily housewife, stay at home seems to be sucking the fun out of me. I need life in me again. I've become a robot. Okay, well, step one is done. You have the awareness, right? You're like, not this. I don't want to be a robot. So what does life look like to you? What does fun look like to you? I'm telling you right now, the amount of guilt you're going to have by even just saying, hey, honey, or getting a sitter. I don't know your situation, but if you're a single mom or you have a partner, if your partner's supportive or not, but literally saying, I'm going to go for a walk or I'm going to go to a coffee shop by myself. You need to own that shit. You need to like sit with that discomfort of like, I can't leave. The children need me. Oh, that house is going to burn down if I don't understand that they will survive without you. I know you feel like they're not going to, but they will. I thought that too when I was almost dead in the hospital bed. And guess what? I survived. So did they. And they were fed mac and cheese and everything that I would not feed them. And guess what? They survived and their life is way better for it because I figured out what made me feel joy. So here it is. You need to take a pen and paper and write fun. You need to close your eyes. You need to think about a time pre-children when you had fun in your life. What was it that allowed you to feel fun? Like, I want you to visualize that moment. You might have been at a concert. You might have been on a yoga class. You might have been eating really healthy. You might have had really good conversations with friends. You might have had a PJ party. I don't know what you were doing. I want you to write that list out. And then I want you to circle one thing on that list. I don't care about the whole list, just one thing. And I want you to implement that in the next 7 days. And I'm telling you, you're not going to feel fun at first. It's going to feel really heavy. So imagine there's a dumpster, a garbage dumpster, and fun is in there. And you're like, you got to dig. You got to dig through all that garbage to find your fun, to find your life again. It's not going to feel good the first few times you do it. You're like, Heather, you told me to have fun. I went to a concert. I used to love going to concerts. I went to this concert and I was just numb. I couldn't feel into it. I was numb. I'm introverted. I wanted to go home, put my pajamas on, and just watch Netflix. I don't care. You have to do it again and again and again and again. You have to have perseverance, determine, grit, and say, I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting until I find fun. Because if I don't become a fun mom, what is that message sending to my children? You can be fun. You got to take a stand for yourself. Okay, so if you're listening to this, you're ready. You're like, Heather, please hold my hand and teach me. Head on over to mamasincontrol.com. We are now accepting applications for the next round of the Mastery Coaching Program. This is an 8-month transformational experience. And when you join us in January or apply in January of 2019, I'm going to be gifting you a 1-day in-person leadership planning day. So you're going to come here. I'm in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. You can fly into Windsor. You can fly into Detroit, Michigan, and you come over into Canada with your passport, and you can hang out with me and a handful. We're going to have about 20 to 30 women, and we're going to rock out the day. We're going to plan the life that we crave. We're going to have some Q&A where it's going to be an intimate group. We're going to be talking about our journeys, telling our stories, and these are all ambitious women who are like, not this. I am so determined to turn the ship around and create the life that I want, because I want to leave a legacy for my children, and I do not want my children to remember a mother who felt depleted, who felt broken, who felt bankrupt. You can create abundance in your life while raising amazing, amazing children. So mamisincontrol.com, fill out your application, and we'll get you on the phone for an introductory call. You got this. See you tomorrow.